Hi folks, if you're a clawhammer player who's recently taken up thumb lead two-finger style, or you're thinking about it, you may have realized that drop thumbing really isn't a thing in thumb lead two-finger style. And the simple reason for that is there are fundamental differences between clawhammer and thumb lead two-finger, and that is that clawhammer is essentially an index lead style, whereas the finger plays the main beats and melody notes and the thumb plays on off beats. Whereas in thumb lead two-finger, as the name suggests, the thumb is playing the main beats and melody notes and the finger is following on the off beats. So there's fundamental difference right there between clawhammer and thumb lead two-finger style. And because of that, not everything in clawhammer translates over into two-finger thumb lead, and vice versa. Not everything in thumb lead two-finger translates over into clawhammer, and this is one example of that. However, the good news is that there are different techniques for emulating drop thumb in thumb lead two-finger, and I'm going to show you three today that I use, and they are pull-offs, alternate string hammers, and something I call a finger drag. And which one you use when all depends upon the strings you're playing, the notes you're playing, and the notes that are going to follow that. So you just have to figure out where these work out best in any particular arrangement. Well, the songs I'm going to use today to demonstrate this are all modal tunes. So we're going to use the G Sawmill tuning, G modal tuning, however you want to call it. It's G, D, G, second string tuned up to a C, and then D. All these techniques apply in any tuning, whether you're in Sawmill, whether you're in open G or A tuning, whether you're in double C or double D, whether you're in standard C, whether you're in open D, doesn't matter. All these techniques apply across all tunings. Let's start by looking at pull-offs, and let's use the B part of Cluckled Hen to demonstrate that. Here's a clawhammer approach to the B part of Cluckled Hen. The drop thumb came in right in the last measure, right at the first beat where I hit the first string to drop my thumb to the second string on the off beat. Let me play that last measure just to emphasize it. Now, how do we want to approach that with a pull-off? Well, rather than playing the open first string, let's put our index finger on the second fret of the second string, because that's the same note as the open first string. So if we hit that with our thumb and then pull off, that sounds the open second string. So we have the same notes there. And of course, you can do this in clawhammer as well. You can substitute this for drop thumb if you want to. That pull off on the second fret of the second string, it sounds the same notes as the drop thumb. And by the way, this pull off technique, when we use it, works best when the drop thumb note would be on a open string rather than a fretted string. You can do it, but it's a little trickier. But if you're drop thumbing to open string, this is a good technique for replacing the drop thumb. If I play that last measure in thumb lead two-finger style with the pull off, it might come something like this. Or I could put a pinch at the end. Gives you the same notes as drop thumb. The only thing that's really different in there is my ditties get flipped around in thumb lead two-finger style. Rather than a 1-5 ditty that I played in clawhammer, I'm playing a 5-1 ditty in thumb lead two-finger. That's the nature of thumb lead two-finger. Let's move on to using alternate string hammers. And for that, I'm going to use the B part of Kitchen Gal, or Kitchen Girl, as some people call it. So here's the first couple measures that kick off the B part. Fairly notey melodic approach. Let me do that again. So it's that last measure. I'm playing the third and fourth string. I'm drop thumbing to the fourth string. So if I break that down even more, the drop thumb maneuver is hitting the open third string with my finger, and then on the offbeat, dropping with my thumb to the fourth string on the third fret. we can replace that with an alternate string hammer where we hit the third string open and then we just hammer. We don't pluck, we just hammer to the fourth string on the third fret. It's kind of similar to an alternate string pull-off if you use those, except now we're doing an alternate string hammer. And by the way, this technique in thumb lead two finger works best when your drop thumb note in claw hammer is going to a fretted string, like here in Kitchen Gal. If that drop thumb note is a fretted string, give the alternate string hammer a try. Here's what we're going to do. Open third string with the thumb, and then just hammer without picking to the open fourth string. There's the two notes. That would be played through a drop thumb. I'll play that whole run two finger style, those first two measures with this alternate string hammer on. Do it again. And just isolating that. Kicking off on the first beat with a hammer, and then the alternate string hammer on comes on the second beat. So again, if you have in claw hammer a drop thumb to a fretted note, and you're trying to translate that into two finger picking, thumb lead two finger picking, consider using an alternate string hammer on. Thirdly, the possibility is what I call a finger drag. I don't know if there's a formal name for this. I just call it a finger drag because, as you'll see, it's a good descriptor. I'm sure other people call it this too. Again, this works when your drop thumb note in claw hammer would be to an open string. In fact, finger drags and pull-offs are more or less interchangeable. You can do a pull-off or you can do a finger drag to emulate a drop thumb to an open string. It's somewhat analogous to part of the Gale-Axe lick in claw hammer. If you use the Gale-Axe lick, you know what you do is you kick it off by letting your finger drag across at least two strings, like so. My finger is going to hit the second string, and then it's just going to keep moving, it's going to keep dragging, and then it's going to hit the first string. So the first part of the Gale-Axe lick before you get to that fifth string note is this finger drag. Let's flip that around for thumb lead two finger. We're going to do a finger drag, but rather than going from strings 2 to 1, we're going to go from 1 to 2. So I'm going to break a bunch of thumb lead two finger rules here. I'm going to use my finger to play a lead note, a melody note, and I'm going to play two successive notes, a beat and an offbeat with my finger. But so it goes. You know, sometimes we break the rules in order to get the notes we want. You know, if we want to play the drop thumb notes, like that, again, in Cluckled Hen, we're going to play that drop thumb on strings 1 and 2. Well, we can use a pull-off on the second string to get those two notes, or I can drag across the first and second string, beat and offbeat, and then continue on in thumb lead style. I'm going to move up a little closer just so you can see what I'm doing there. Here we go again. So don't dig in too hard with your finger. Kind of let it glide just right over. Just catch that first string with the tip of your finger and let it glide right into the second string. This is one of my favorite techniques. I use it a lot. If you follow along on YouTube with me, my tunes with tabs, especially my two finger arrangements, you'll see finger drags quite often in my two-finger arrangements. In fact, you'll see a lot of alternate string hammers as well. But I really love the finger drag. It just kind of feels good to me when I do it. It works out well. It takes a little practice to get used to it at first. You just got to drill on it. But once you get the hang of it, it's a great technique to throw into your thumb lead two-finger playing. Well, there it is. In order to substitute for drop thumb and thumb lead two-finger picking, the possibilities are pull-offs, especially when the drop thumb is to an open string, or you can use the finger drag when the drop thumb is to an open string. And then thirdly, you can use alternate string hammer-ons, especially when the drop thumb note would be to a fretted note that's lower pitched than the main note. This works across all tunings, not just the G modal tuning. It doesn't matter what the tuning is. You just have to figure out where these work into a song and which works best in a given situation. Well, that's it for today. Hopefully this gave you some insights. Till next time, just keep on picking.